G'day, ZiggyD here, and welcome back for another video in the Lightning Touch Challenge. If you guys are not familiar with this challenge, then I'll direct your eyes to the description below where you can find a link to the introduction video and the highlights for day one. So, in day one, we made it to level 35. We are in Act 1 Cruel. We had to start a little bit late because we had to wait for the patch to go live, and we've just been taking things at a fairly cruisy, self-found pace, but it has been a lot of fun. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the leveling things that I've noticed about leveling this particular character, and also share with you guys my plans for this particular build and what I'm going to be doing with it, so you guys can kind of follow along and I guess just keep an eye on how things progress, and then when you see things either work really well or work really poorly, you can kind of see why, and you can see that unfold, that whole story unfold. You guys have seen this before. I've done this sort of build progress thing in the past before, and you guys typically tend to enjoy it. So the first thing I have to say is that I'm very impressed with Lightning Tendrils as a leveling skill. We quickly discovered that the damage is really good, the mana is quite cheap, and it's just effective in the lower levels. So we're in a 4-man group, we're using Lightning Tendrils, and the damage was really good even in the 4-man scaling. So very impressed with that overall. I'm excited to use this in the future in races, and also in leveling new characters. It's a decent AoE leveling skill, and certainly a lot nicer to level with when Spark. Although Spark I've used for a little while as single target damage, because you can shotgun with Spark. If you get right up close, you can shotgun with Spark. I was using that for single target damage, and then I was using this for AoE, and it was really quite effective. Now, because I'm a Templar, I went straight into the AoE nodes just there. That was like literally the first nodes I got, and that was like a nice boost to the AoE size. That's actually what I have now, and you can kind of see where the AoE reaches there. It's a cone in that sort of a shape just there, which is pretty good for like early game leveling. So the AoE in that is decent. Like, it's better than it's better than like a single freeze pulse, and somewhat similar to like a less multiple projectile freeze pulse. So it's a decent leveling skill overall. It really started to shine once I crafted myself a +1 lightning scepter. So I grabbed a 3-linked scepter that I found, I think probably from one of the vendors, and purchased this. I traded it with a lightning resist ring, 1 alteration, and then the staff was magical. I traded it to the vendor, and I got back a +1 to lightning gem scepter, so I could then put my lightning tendrils and my other lightning gems inside of it. I then augmented it for I did this process a few times until I finally augmented cast speed on it, and this is something I'm going to be able to use for quite a long time now, until I find like a better base scepter I can use later on in the game. But this is a low level scepter. I'm going to be able to use this for ages because the damage is really good on it. So I put lightning tendrils in there. I linked it to added lightning as soon as I've got that. Keep in mind that this character is entirely self-found, so I'm not able to use any other cool support gems that you would usually be able to pull from your stash or purchase of other players, just using with whatever we can find. But these are all quest rewards, so I got lightning tendrils, added lightning damage, and lightning penetration. That's what I've been using there, and they're all in the +1, so they all gain the additional damage just there. So that worked very nicely. And then at normal Lovers Lost, so normal Act 3, we got a hold of, where is it? There it is, Herald of Thunder, hiding in my helmet just there. This thing is awesome, a huge increase to spells just there. It adds 2 to 30 lightning damage to spells, and my spell damage is 4 to 80, so it's a pretty significant increase. So that's really nice. And not only does it add some nice damage there, but it also does pretty hefty damage in an AoE. You can see it deals 2 to 115 lightning damage, actually deals more lightning damage than my actual skill does. So that happens in an AoE. Whenever I kill mobs around me, I get that extra bonus AoE. And because I'm scaling some AoE from my passive tree as well, that becomes very effective at actually killing enemies around me. All I have to do is kill one enemy with a shock stack, and because Pox has been playing a crit version of this build, there's been quite a few shock stacks happening, but there we go, I finally got a shock. Once I get the chance to shock nodes, it's going to happen a bit more often, but now for me it just happens whenever I do get that crit. But because Pox is critting and shocking enemies, we're able to kill those guys, and we're able to proc that fairly often. So it's a nice damage bonus and a nice AoE increase at all. And so far, the leveling process has been pretty damn smooth. I get nice resistances from the tree. I've been able to keep my resistances all quite high. I'm almost max here at the end of normal, and still really good in cruel as well. And just crafting a little bit of gear and using everything that had been found, and trying to just match things up nicely. So far, progression has been good. So I want to talk to you guys now a little bit about what my build plans are for this character. About halfway through the day, we were kind of, all trying to figure out what our builds were and deciding, like, we wanted our builds to be different and individual and, as separate as, from each other as possible, so that when you guys got a chance to look at the finished builds from this project, or from this, Lightning Touch challenge, they'd all be significantly different. So I decided to go for a totem build. Now, even though I'm not 100% sure whether this is going to be very effective, and I don't have very much experience with totem builds, I wanted to do this because I'm the Templar and I'm well positioned for it, and I think it could be interesting for you guys to see, because then you can see, what is like totem, what is a crit self-cast build, or like shadow, what's a crit self-cast witch, what's a scion build look like, with all with this skill, and then you guys can be like, alright, I like that build the most, and you can see that build looks the most effective. So for comparison's sake, this should be pretty interesting. I think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to be super strong, but it should be fairly safe. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. We'll see how it works out. I'm optimistic at this point. I think the skill might be strong on totems, but it's very hard to tell without knowing how this skill scales up into the end game so far. So my build plan is thus starting as Templar, getting the elemental damage and the AoE. We're getting as much AoE as possible. Grab the Templar life just here. Come up through here. We're grabbing the aura cluster just here. I'm going to be running Clarity, Discipline, since I'm an Eldritch Battery character, all the way up there on the right. Let me zoom over there so you guys can see. There we go, Eldritch Battery. And I'll also be running Herald of Thunder as well for the added damage just there. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether Herald of Thunder can proc off totems killing shocked enemies. Might not. So that'll be a little bit of a letdown if it doesn't, but even if it doesn't, the added lightning damage will still be reason enough to use it, because you can't really get added lightning damage through auras on a spellcaster in the past, but now you can, so we'll be using that particular buff to give us some added lightning damage. Now we do come down and obviously get the dual totems, grabbing the totem damage and all of that nice jazz in there, and also grabbing athleticism here, which is buff effect, and life. The buff effect increases the damage and our mana regeneration, so that's going to be really nice there. By the same token, we tuck down here, grab the totem nodes, grab some extra life and mana regeneration in there, some cast speed. I think cast speed is really, really important on this skill because it has a root time. If I switch over to the game here and go back in here, you guys can see that the way Lightning Tendrils works is that each time you cast, it casts 4 times, so if I try and move away, I'm locked into that position until I'm finished my cast. So without much cast speed, the skill actually becomes a little bit dangerous. So this is beyond league with flame surges and all sorts of nasty things that you want to dodge, so you really don't want to be locked in place there. Now the benefit is, for me, being a totem build, eventually that's not going to be a problem because I just cast my totems and it's good, but I still think the skill scale is going to scale very well with cast speed, and cast speed's also going to help me get my totems out faster too, so I'm getting as much of that as I can. Again, some more Inner Force here, which is more buff effect. Now, although Aura Effect doesn't work on Herald of Thunder, buff effect does. So from here, athleticism and the Inner Force cluster, that all increases our damage from Herald of Thunder, so nice stuff. And of course we tuck down and get the life here. I originally planned on getting the totem cluster here, but decided after a while that Heart of Thunder is probably better with our current routing, so we grabbed that just there. We also grabbed Static Blows over here, which gives us 10% chance to shock. I think with the high cast speed of this, that's going to be plenty of shocking, and that's going to give us the 50% damage bonus from shock, uptime most of the time, so that should be pretty good. If I find it's not working well enough, I can just spend one more point here and get another 5% chance to shock, but the 10% alone should be enough. So we duck down through here, grabbing the nice life nodes. Of course, grabbing the AoE, we can pick up an extra point there if we want, but otherwise we can just go for blast radius to keep things more efficient. Then we duck down through here into the Witch, fantastic damage cluster, and a lot of extra cast speed, so into there is all pretty good stuff. Now this build has 148 max life, which should be plenty survivable since I'm a totem build especially. I can be a little bit back. I found an Arctic Armor, so I'm going to be able to run Arctic Armor with Eldritch Battery, and everything should hopefully work out. As for support gems for my Lightning Tendrils, it's really going to depend on what I can actually get from quest rewards and what can I get to drop and scam off my other party members. So it's going to be up in the air. But I think Concentrated Effect, increase AoE, Spell Echo with faster casting, use those two together if you do use them. I think Added Chaos has potential, Empower obviously has potential, and Lightning Penetration is a good support gem as well. So I think those are all good support gems I'm going to be keeping an eye out for and using whatever of those I can. But if I can't get a hold of anything else, I might keep using Added Lightning until I can find a better support gem. It's interesting being a self-found challenge. I think this will be pretty interesting. Hopefully you guys will enjoy seeing the progression updates. I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll show you guys, I guess, the inevitable rip video if I die, or the glory video if I make it to endgame and come up with a decent build. Anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this little preliminary first look at the build. Let me know if you have any thoughts, or if you're playing around with Lightning Tendrils and have discovered anything interesting. That's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.